We can start like this.
Yeah, we're good.
Are we good?
Are we going?
Yes, sir.
All right, so I'll start us off.
Yeah.
Here we go. Okay. Welcome, everybody, to the Crypto Sherpa Show special edition, where I interview guests, members, and friends here in Sarasota. And today's special guest, I have Steve Blanco from Nashville. Steve, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me here, Sherp.
Oh, I love having you here. It's always the best. We have the best conversations too, because we talk about everything.
We do.
Crypto, the world, money, and just like we talk about everything. It's so fun.
Anything goes. We were actually just talking about Steve Jobs because you had brought up Pixar.
Pixar and DreamWorks, yeah.
Right? And DreamWorks too, right? Which is interesting because that was, spearheaded by Steven Spielberg. And, that Spielberg's made a few films that we've heard of, over the years, right?
Yep.
Not in the least one called E.T.
What about Super 8? Did you like that one?
I didn't see that.
That was like kind of a cool one, like little aspects like bringing back the old time days, like how E.T. was filmed, like that genre era of time. So it was pretty good. Just another alien movie, though.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. I don't know
alien.
it. I don't know it actually. Maybe I should check it out.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't think it was so great so for a rewatch, but actually maybe you should check it out.
But we were talking about Steve Jobs, and it was reminding me of the weird things that since Steve Jobs, R.I.P. Steve Jobs, obviously, since he passed, some of the weird things Apple had allowed to come to production that may not have been the case in the Steve Jobs era, right?
Yep. Yeah, we were talking about that last night because I busted out my old 2008 MacBook. It's like, oh, this is awesome. Like, we have the disk drive. Look how thick this is.
Amazing.
And then we started talking about, like, the newer models. Yeah, remember when the sidebar came out or the taskbar on those Macs?
Oh, yeah, the touch bar.
It was fun playing with them at the Apple store, but then over the years we go, man, this is the most useless piece of item around.
Yeah.
Steve Jobs would never allow this to happen.
No, that was definitely the joke that my pals and I all had. We were like, there's no way that Steve would have allowed this touch bar to go into production as an actual thing for customers. Because it wasn't good.
No.
Let's be honest. And obviously they got rid of it because
It was just had no point, no purpose.
Yeah,
it wasn't needed.
Apple's customers were like, yo, this touch bar thing. And also, you know what? We were also talking about the power thing, right?
Yeah, the magnetic power shifts finally back in there.
Which I thought, and obviously I'm no genius or unique to anybody else on this planet, but if I thought it, many of us thought, I'm sure, that the magnetic power thing was the greatest invention.
It was pretty cool. It did fall off a couple of times, but I did enjoy it though.
But that's all right.
Plugging it in, but yeah, it's all right.
I'd rather have that happen than
the cable in there. Then you pull it, you tug it, and then it snaps that USB-C cable.
Exactly, everything gets broken or pulls your computer off the table.
That too, yeah. So that was a perk with those magnetic strips because I tripped over that thing so many times.
Exactly,
in the day.
me too, man.
It was like boop off. It's like, oh dang, did I save that project?
but they brought it back. So you see, someone's paying attention.
Bring back the old stuff. Yeah, because that's what Apples were back in the day. We talked about it. Like, he made it so you just open the box, you have everything you need. If you want those sidebars or any of those extra things, get a PC, and that's how it was meant to be.
Exactly, man. And that brings me to something else that you and I talk about occasionally is, what do we think Apple's involvement is with crypto?
True, I know, because remember when they found, like, what was that, a year ago too, like they actually had the Bitcoin white paper in their coding on their laptops?
That's crazy, yeah, that was insane.
That was like a cool thing, and then they started talking about wallets on like your Apple devices, so like they have to have like a involvement with Bitcoin and crypto, and it's just like they're just lying about it. They're not the MicroStrategy or Meta plan out there just saying, oh, we just bought this much Bitcoin, we have this now, but they're a part of it.
Yeah, I mean, I often, the thing is, I enjoy thinking about it because it's fun, like being so involved in the crypto ecosystem and in the Apple ecosystem since I've been a user, for a long time, sure, a long time. But anyway, it's fun for me to try to figure out, like, even though I have no idea. There's no way I can know what one of the most technologically advanced companies on planet Earth is doing with crypto. You know what I mean, right? But they have to be doing something.
Everybody's got to be doing something now.
Yeah.
It's just the time we're in now and everything. If they're not in it now or have been in it, they're getting in it like by January 20th for sure, keeping it under wraps.
I'm sure some kind of announcement is going to happen from Apple that is going to blow everybody's minds with crypto. That's what I think. Otherwise, they're pulling a Blockbuster, which I just don't think that they're at that stage yet. I don't think Apple's done, you know?
No, if they pulled a Blockbuster, they'd be partnering with Dish Network, and that's how you know they're at the end.
That's right. That's right. That was the end.
That was the end.
I forget. You knew that because
I worked there for
I was
in Huntington Beach, California. I was the last Blockbuster there. I left 2 weeks before they actually shut the doors down, but that was the end of it. I remember they came in, we're like, so yeah, we're partnering with Dish Network, so we're going to have some dishes in here. You're going to promote that? It's like okay, but we're a movie rental store. Now I got to push Dish Network.
Right. So there was so first it was the snacks available at the checkout line. Then you were like, okay, Blockbuster, I don't think they're doing that well because they're selling nothing but Raisinets and Reese's peanut butter cups at the.
That was the best combo. That was my go-to for lunch breaks because it was $3 soda, candy, and popcorn. Skittles. I never touched the popcorn, but
big bag of Skittles, right? You know.
Yes.
Yeah, and then the Dish Network. That was it. That was it. They were just done, right?
Yeah, it was over at that point. They should have bought Redbox.
It was
Netflix. They should have bought Netflix.
I think they had I was going to say, I think it was Netflix actually, and I can imagine like they were probably like, whoa.
I know they would have been the king of the streaming services out there. Or do you think they still would have? If they bought them out, would they still have made Netflix as big as it is now?
That's a good question. I there's no way to know because perhaps, I mean, if we think about like the big universal, picture in the energetic sense, maybe Blockbuster was never supposed to go on past where they did, and that was it.
That's just the evolution.
And it was everything that's gone this way is because energetically we've manifested Netflix to come into play. I remember when Netflix first started too, I even was like, is this a good idea? Like they were just mailing DVDs, right? And I thought, is this going to actually work? I'm sure I'm not the only one who thought that,
Yeah, I was bad with the Netflix ones where I'd get a DVD of a scratched disc of a DVD copy I already had. And then, this one came in. Let me just swap it. Oh, it was defective. I was one of those people.
I don't think you were the only one doing that, man. Right? I mean, but that was part of their business model. So I'm sure they accounted for all that stuff. You know? And like the piece of plastic that was used to actually make the DVD probably didn't cost that much anyway, right? So.
Well, then again,
but I remember,
back then,
you'd receive them broken sometimes. You'd have to send them back.
Discs were expensive though back in the day because it's like just the evolving technology coming. Remember when a memory card for like 10 megabytes was $30-$40,
right?
And now the megabytes now you can get like 250 gigabytes or even a terabyte for like $40.
You can get a terabyte USB drive, right?
Exactly. So like with the price, the difference with those discs making, like back then, who knows? Maybe the discs were a little bit more pricier compared to now.
It's possible. But I'm sure either way they had that worked out in their business model because how could they not? Like that was bound to happen, right? And they knew people were going to do that.
Yeah.
But I do wonder if because the funny thing is, man, full disclosure, I don't even have a Netflix account. I do all my streaming on YouTube.
Yep.
And Amazon. So I don't know what I'm pretty sure Netflix has a huge market share still, right? I mean, they're doing well, if I'm not mistaken, right?
It's just the newest way for streaming because cable died. That was like the part of the evolution too. Like Blockbuster and like DVD stores like just weren't meant to last. It had its time. I'm surprised how GameStop and video game stores are still around too, But
GameStop is still around. The funniest thing, man. Like I was on tour with my band, and I don't even remember where we were. Maybe like somewhere out west, and the guy who we had with us helping us, we had to stop at a GameStop because he had to go in and get a game that just came out. I was like, and me and my band, we were all like, and two of the guys in my band, there's three of us. Two of them, the other two, not me, are heavy gamers. And they were just like, dude, you're going into GameStop right now to get, like, what are you doing, you know? Right?
Yeah.
But there's still people doing it, man, you know?
And still selling back their games too. Oh, like you could buy a brand new $60 game. Oh, I can give you $20 cash for it, or $40 game store credit.
Seriously. But I do wonder, like, where all the streaming is going to go, because I know the streaming music model is coming to it's coming to a change, because it's not really profitable, even for the companies that are doing it. Forget about the musicians that earn nothing basically, but the actual companies that are doing it, it's not even that great of a business. So that's probably going to be changing. Tell me what you think. I'm thinking that it's all going to the blockchain.
Yes, I believe so too, because that just finally gives you more freedom, and musicians more freedom to the rights of their creation and their music they make, instead of having going with those third parties signing contracts. It's like that's what blockchain is for. You don't need the middleman anymore. Now it's just like, I can put the content on the blockchain myself, put that like on some platform, OpenSea, like something like that, but for music only. So basically the new iTunes, but on blockchain style. You pay for your NFT or tokenized music that takes you to the link, or you can download it to a device, because that's basically what the iPod was. It's just you bought a code, you couldn't put it anywhere else but except for the iPhone device. So maybe they'll come out with a device specifically for like music and tokens or NFTs, which has the code on it to actually play it.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if Steve Jobs was around, if he would have the new device already like worked out in his head, you know, or at least the concept of it, right? Because he brought us the iPod.
I know. Do you think they would ever bring back the swirling circle? That was always so cool.
And he gave us the smartphone.
Oh, I know.
I mean, that's hard to believe, really, right?
He was just in general. Steve Jobs was awesome. Every time he had those Apple conventions,
I loved his
he brought
keynotes.
the heat.
Yeah,
it was awesome. Like every single when the iPod Nano came out, it's like, guys, we have all these pockets and everything, but what's this little one for? All right, change. No, you know what? No, it's your iPod, and he pulls that little thing out. I'm going, oh, I want that.
Yeah. I mean, he definitely had like a brilliant marketing team with him, and like, you know, I miss those days of Apple when they from the Cupertino campus is where they did all that stuff, you know, right? In California, near like San Jose, Silicon Valley.
Yeah, Silicon Valley. Yeah.
And I've never been to the Apple campus, but I heard it's a crazy property.
I never gone to, but yeah, I've heard that too.
So what about anyway, so the streaming stuff is, I am curious to see how it's going to work out. I know it's a huge thing in blockchain, you know. I know there's this company called Noom that I actually just started checking out. I don't know if you've heard of them.
I haven't.
This guy is working on basically the Spotify version, except on blockchain.
Okay.
You know, a blockchain version of Spotify, which I welcome. I think that would be a welcome addition to the way that we consume music currently. You know?
It would, yeah.
And I wonder how that's going to work, though, because there's always the legacy control.
It's still there, yeah. So it's not going to be till a change happens. But again, isn't the whole thing is you hit them where it hurts, and that's their pockets. So once the legacy system goes away or it gets replaced, and then it's like if they didn't prepare for it, grab some Bitcoin or something, then they're gone.
Bitcoin is the key, though, man, really, because I was actually listening to one of my favorite YouTubers. His name is MoneyZG. He's an English guy, and I've been listening to him for a while. He's great, fabulous YouTuber. Zoltan's giving me a thumbs up. He knows him. Sherpa, in case if you don't know him, you should definitely check him out. He's amazing. His information.
I will.
But he was really going on a crazy rant today about how he's like, there's nothing left to buy except Bitcoin. He's like, let's look at all the assets. He pulled up like all the historical charts of everything. He's going, look at the S&P. He's like, let's look at with the exception of MicroStrategy and NVIDIA, basically.
Yeah.
He said there is nothing performing even close to Bitcoin, right?
No, yeah.
Nothing. And he's like, there's nothing left. He's like, Morgan Stanley. He's like, a 200-year-old banking company. He's like, he's like, what else? What are they doing now?
Yeah.
Nothing anymore. Like, you know what? They're just going to go out of business, he's saying, or they're going to switch over. He's like, there's no way to pretend this gigantic shift isn't happening right now.
I know, it really is. So, it's exciting times. It is real. Like, this is the moment we've been waiting for. Like, these past 4 years of the bear market, we knew this time was coming, but the big changes are happening.
Yeah.
Like, but with these adoption and everything too, like I always wanted to actually, when you and Heidi were having the AMA yesterday, kind of wanted to bring that up. Like, just the question, like, what's going to be the process do you think we're going to see next? Like, the last bull cycle was all retail people. So, like, they were the ones that got in, then got out. But then we knew this next, like, cycle was going to be, like, enterprises, so businesses. But that's what we knew was going to happen. But we didn't expect countries and governments to get on board, too, with this now. So now we have these three players. Like, once they are fully in there, we have the reserve. What's our next step? Like, because, again, the people were in it the first time, they left. But now we have the businesses and the people who like give these normal people jobs and everything. Like, how does this now trickle down to them? It's eventually going back to them. Like, they had their chance to get in the last cycle and keep holding it, but now it's like, okay, we're not letting the businesses handle it, and now it's eventually going to come back to us. But how is that going to look like when it gets there?
Well, that's a really huge question and a really important thing to try to look at.
Because that's what I wanted to ponder.
I would say this. I'll start off like this. Since I've been in crypto since the beginning of 2013, those things have always been talked about in crypto. Like, oh, one day the institutions are going to be buying Bitcoin, or, countries are going to be buying Bitcoin. That's always kind of been talked about, but it was never seen until really this cycle.
Yeah.
Right? Would you agree, right?
I agree, yeah.
And so these institutions coming in this cycle has been a huge game changer. I will say also the retail is going to do the same thing again, just like last time, except it'll be like another level of retail because every time it keeps getting passed down, right? Unlike other assets, though, Bitcoin is a finite supply, so it's a whole different thing every time that happens. It's not a pyramid. It's not a pyramid scheme in that sense.
Nope.
Because they can't just keep creating more at the bottom.
Yeah.
While the ones at the top get it, right? Everything is a little bit of a pyramid in the sense that, like, if you learn about something first, well, you got access to that information first, right?
Yep.
But because it's a finite supply, it doesn't matter, actually. There's really no end to it. As long as there's demand for the Bitcoin, there is no end to it, really, right? Now, obviously, if there's no more demand for it, hey, you can go to zero. You know what I mean, right? Do I think that's going to happen? I don't think so. I don't think all these huge institutions like you're talking about would be getting so heavily involved if they thought it was going to go to zero.
Exactly.
Are they controlling any of it and manipulating it? Yeah, they can, because they have huge wallets.
Portions of it, yeah.
Right?
So of course they can.
Using that as metaphorically speaking.
It's like, can you control it, or are they more controlling the people through their emotions? Because the normal people who have it, they see like this big dump. They don't know it was caused by the big guys, but now they're freaking out. So they cause an emotional fear to happen. They're like, oh, I got to get out now too. And then they just come back and buy it. So are they controlling the Bitcoin, or are they controlling people more?
Now that is that's something that I think about all the time. There was a great book that I read called Crypto Assets. I don't know if you know the book.
I do not.
It was written, I think it was by Chris Berniski. That book, he gets really heavily into the history of the psychology of how people get in and out of markets, and the jubilance, how it goes up, and how we actually manifest the market to go up, because everyone's like, yo, it's going to go up. So everyone's like, oh, it's going to go up. Oh, yeah, it's going to go up. And then we actually manifest it to go up.
Yeah.
Right? Or down, like you said, if like, some big company, or some big organization that holds a ton of Bitcoin, does a short sale or whatever you want to, whatever they're doing, big liquidation, we'll call it. And then it affects the price by a tiny bit, of course, in the big picture. But
just to give enough momentum to cause that, where's it going? Make him speculate. Oh, I think it's going to go down now, so maybe I should. Or
it goes red.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, it's red. I got to sell everything. I can't. I got to cut my losses, right? That's the natural, I think, instinct.
Especially if you're a trader, because that would be like the main thing. It's like, oh no, but usually a real trading is you never want to sell it lower. It's like, oh, well, let's just wait till it goes back up again.
Yes, indeed. And there's also, market makers, which, they will basically trade constantly. A lot of it's done by AI now. Like a ton of it. It's just constant trading that will keep an asset in a certain price range. Because we've noticed, like, Bitcoin will be at a price range, and all of a sudden it'll jump up, but then it'll kind of hang around in that price range for a while, right? And so that helps the market, build up, consolidate, so that there could be, ammunition for the next leg up, right? So it's hard to say. Also, it's hard to call it artificial,
Right.
Like, because sometimes I just think like, well, what's really artificial? Like, it's all part of this, whatever this whole thing might be artificial for all we know. Like, I have no idea what any of this is, right?
Exactly.
And like when you start looking at quantum physics and all these other things that are validating ancient knowledge that people would tell you're crazy to think about that. Oh, that's just little folklore. But meanwhile, it's all being validated by modern science, right? And so then you just start thinking about energy and all the stuff that Michael Saylor talks about, with like the transfer of energy, and that's all everything is. And so, in a way, isn't it all natural, actually, right?
It is, yeah. So I remember when Michael Saylor would always talk about that, like when during my chemistry times, like, I'm studying actual energy transfer, the actual laws that apply by it, and then it goes like, with the money and everything, you just think of everything, like, hey, this is just all connected.
It's all completely connected, exactly. And so every little thing that one area of energy or one person or whatever it might be does, I think many of us are taught to think that has no effect on something that's far away, right? But that's not true. And in fact, again, modern physics, there's what's that experiment?
Which one?
Where they split a photon, okay, which is the smallest unit of light that we know of, I guess, so far. They split a photon and then they ran it in the particle accelerator, I think in Switzerland, right? Like,
does them to collide?
Yeah, they ran them opposite directions so that it simulates the distance of them being 14 or 15 miles apart, and then they noticed that they were still behaving as if they were attached to each other. Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, wait a second, how's that possible? That means that everything in between is everything's connected, right? Exactly.
Because if they're touching, everything's connected.
Right. So if I have a thought, if I radiate a thought from my mind out into the ether, someone in China is being affected by that in some way. And I can't say that we can tell how it is, but somehow that's happening, right? You know?
And like you can say, like with this last storm we had here in Milton, like a lot of people were like, they know about the manifestations, like the thoughts, the energy, and Category 5 turned down to a tropical storm, right? Because it may have been said as a 3, but we lived through this, so we were here. So
wasn't it weird too how that storm turned into a Cat 5 really fast?
Yeah, like it was holding like the 3, 4, then like, oh, we're at a 5 now. And it's like, oh, it's going back down 4, 3.
I remember watching and just going like, it's a Cat 5? Like what?
I know.
But then luckily, or maybe it's not luck, like you're saying. Who knows?
Maybe it got manifested to go away. We don't.
And
who knows?
Unlike Helene in North Carolina, they got really destroyed, right? You know? But yeah, that kind of stuff's interesting. That what about what you were talking about earlier with the this weird fog?
Yeah, I know.
What's going on there?
I don't know. Like, well, I was just picturing, since we had so many drones like happening in the previous weeks, it's like well, how can we stop that talk
drones
going?
In Jersey.
Exactly. Well, let's just spread a fog across America or the world, so that way no one can see these drones actually taking place right now.
That's a possibility.
Possibility, yeah.
Also, what I did notice about it, because I happened to be outside with some friends that were visiting from Fort Myers actually, and my friend's girlfriend went to turn her car on, and the lights came on, and then I saw this weird fog in there because we had already noticed it come in. And it was just all of a sudden hazy. Yeah, it wasn't like a fog like that. It was just everything was hazy, and then
it looked like snow, but rain in a way.
But tiny particles. Except the weird thing was that all it left the particles on the car. They were not water particles. They were like dust.
They were something. Yeah, because when I got back and saw my car just covered in all this stuff, it's like, what is this? Like dirt? Like I couldn't tell what it was. I just knew my car was engulfed by it. But like we had the same fog in California when I was just doing a little drive. Like I see like it going whoosh. It's like, that's not rain, but my car is getting covered really wet.
Strange, man.
So it's like what is this?
and then I went down the rabbit hole, of course, researching all this stuff. And there's like the Saharan dust that makes its way to Florida at sometimes and all that, but that's not what this was.
Yeah.
So who knows? And when you start saying things like what you're saying, like, oh, maybe it's to hide drones, people think like, dude, you're crazy.
Exactly.
But the reality is like, I think you're crazy if you think that's not a possibility.
Exactly, right? It's like you honestly, truly do not know what this is, so why can't you just question Like, what could this possibly be? What if? What
Yeah.
is?
How can you be so arrogant to think that anything that you think of is all there is? That's it, right? To me, that seems like, well, you're so overconfident in the reality that's been presented to you that you can't
Any options anymore.
Right. You can't expand your consciousness, right? Because you don't think anything else is possible.
That's because that's how we were programmed to. The school systems and everything, it's supposed to be just done one way. There's only one right answer. If you got it wrong, fail, even though we know that's a good thing because now you have a learning opportunity. But no, it's all one way, however thought. So you can't just like be critical thinkers anymore. They just want you to be just a one-way thinker, do this way, and that's it. So people can't question it, like going, oh, covering up the drones, aliens, what? No, that's not even a possibility. It's like, are you sure about that? You're not 100% positive. You don't even know what this is. So,
right, and just hearing you say those words, people will shut off. So they can't even engage in a dialogue, which is how all humans in history have made progress, is by talking things out that are varying in opinions, right? Diverse in thought, right?
Yeah, like I'm looking at the photo we have of the founding fathers signing the Declaration, like both sides, but they talked, had conversations, not just yelling one at the other, then buying the news media to spread your own.
And nothing's in black and white either. There's many things surrounding that particular event. Some of it fabulous, some of it not so fabulous, right? Like nothing is black and white, it's nothing exists in a vacuum is what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
And so, the global shutdown was really a big eye-opener to see huge groups of the population just completely disengage in critical thinking at all, right?
It was just one thing. Whatever they saw, this is it. They wouldn't even take anybody else's scientific facts about it, because doctors studying both sides. Yeah, some people actually did believe the science behind the COVID and everything. Then
That's
the
right.
people defuncting it with this other. So they couldn't they just chose one, but didn't even want to even consider the other possibility of this.
That's right.
So that's why they were shutting down all the ivermectin not working. It's
That's
no,
right.
that can't work. No, I need to go get my shot. Oh no, let me get on that ventilator.
Oh yeah, and it was also obviously there was fear mongering involved, and that's how a lot of this is deployed.
Yeah.
Right? But the really interesting thing too, I mean, the area where you're from and the area where I'm from happen to be two of the worst areas where this brainwashing, I'll call it, was happening, right? Because I'm from New York City and you're from
California,
SoCal, right? And those two parts of the country completely went insane.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I don't know how else to describe it.
I think the worst was the drive-throughs. Oh, can you put your mask back? I'm in my own car. Can
Right.
you just hand me my food?
Yeah, that's crazy, right?
It's like if I was in the store, yeah, but I'm in my own car right now.
I saw that in New York too, man. People driving around with a mask on by themselves in the car.
Right.
Or just walking on the sidewalk. It's like, dude, you're outside. There's no one around. But people got completely out of their minds with that, and that was a really big eye opener. And I think in a way, man, I'm kind of grateful for the whole thing because it's probably why we're here having this conversation in many levels.
It is. It's because we finally realized, the legacy system doesn't really apply to freedom anymore.
Right.
And now we're in crypto and Bitcoin, which is the ultimate form of freedom with monetary value.
That's right. Decentralized, right? Now, I know the internet is not technically decentralized yet, but that's probably going to happen. Think about Starlink, right? Yes, SpaceX is the controller of Starlink. However, that technology can lead to a decentralized internet, right? So I'll be curious to see where all that goes too. And that's so connected to crypto. There's no way that all of this stuff, these future technology companies are not connected to crypto,
Exactly. It's just the next step, just on our timeline of history, that's just going to take place. It's going to happen. It's you got to be on board with it or not. Otherwise, you're like those businesses out there that just accept cash only and never got a POS system to accept card payments, checks, or anything. It's those places definitely did not progress any further because they cut off a big chunk of people out there.
They're just waiting to sell the Dish Network at the checkout line, right?
Yeah. Is Dish Network even around still?
I don't even know, man.
Or is even TiVo still around? Fast forward through commercials.
TiVo, yeah, right. That's right. Wow, that was huge too, man.
It was back in the day.
It's crazy to think about that. Some things really don't. They're so short lived, right? Yeah, I wonder, man. Like, who's going to be the next Dish Network seller? At the checkout line. Like which company? Because some of the companies that are around currently have been around a while.
They have, but we are seeing the change now for like the ones that are just finally leaving now. It's like Party City, all locations being closed down.
Gone.
And like that was a big thing back then. Like people would go there to get their party supplies, Halloween costumes, but now everyone can just get that through Amazon, Target, or whatever. So you don't need a big department store anymore.
Party City was huge. I mean, I used to go to Party City.
Big Lots.
Red Lobster gone.
They're not all. Are they all gone?
Well, I mean, they listen.
They closed a bunch. I know Denny's is closing a bunch of locations.
They closed like 100 stores, so that means that they're pretty much done.
Yeah. Red Lobster. I think I just remember the one Red Lobster in California on my way to Disneyland. It was always right there. But now actually, when you brought that up, like they closed down, I'm going, wait a minute. I don't remember seeing them actually when I drove down there this last week.
This is how you can gauge. By the way, I'm not advocating for Red Lobster either. If you like it or hate it, that's not irrelevant to my conversation here. Like I haven't eaten a Red Lobster in who knows how long. But you can gauge how successful or how wealthy a company might be, because it could be a front, by where their flagship location is. A Red Lobster had one in Times Square. If you have a retail location in Times Square, that's automatically your flagship location.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, okay, I guess Red Lobster was rolling in a lot of money, right?
But continue on though. Like we are seeing these shops that like already got a business, like Dish Network, whatever the next one is. We're already seeing the process of like what's going away. They just have no value anymore because they can't progress anymore. So we're seeing like it happen now. It's what's next? What else is going to be like just slowly going away?
I know, man. It's going to be interesting.
Like what are we going to be left with? Costco's and Target and Walmart's now,
and probably Wells Fargo, who will be a crypto bank.
Oh, are they?
No, I'm just saying. Like, how else are they gonna? They're gonna have to adapt at some point. They will be making the transition, or they're gonna be changing over completely.
That'll probably be more when like states have their own reserves too. Like sure, we have the whole U.S. and there's Treasury Reserve, but now we have like maybe like 6 handful of states with bills having their own treasury. So like maybe once the states have it, then that gets incorporated with the banks of those states.
Yeah, because the banking thing is very interesting. Because I know you have a lot of people in crypto that are like, yeah, they're down with the banks. They're all going to go out of business. Like, dude, Wells Fargo is not going to just go out of business.
Yeah, no, it's a slow process.
Do you know how much resources they have, how huge they are, right?
It's not going to go away right away. Like we were talking about that earlier too, about like how we're seeing like this month's going to play out. Like it's probably going to be a slow move with the crypto market and the prices. And like February hit after January 20th. But we're talking about like, hey, stuff doesn't just hit right away. So like January 20th is going to hit.
Let me take a look at the market right now.
Yeah, take a look at it. Yeah, Trump's going to get in. We're not going to see that big price change immediately like next day. Who knows? We may have a little like 5% dip from it because that just tends to happen. But like a month down the road in February, we may see the big action from it. But like then before that,
green.
It's pretty green right now. But yeah, we had the ETFs, or no, before that was the halving. We had the halving happen. People are going, why didn't it happen? They expected it to happen right now for that big spike bull run to hit. And then we had, before that was the ETF get approved. ETFs are approved. They're buying it. It's like, well, where's the price action now? But it's like, dude, BlackRock purchased like 1 million like Bitcoin.
I was going to say, by the way, it was the most successful ETF launch in the history of ETFs.
Like it took a little bit of time for us to see that price action, but when all this was taking place, Bitcoin was at $16,000, $20,000. Now we're at 97, 98.
Basically 100.
Basically 100, I know.
It is interesting that that's a very, microscopic perspective, right? Like it takes time. What that saying I learned from the TradFi people that I really like. It's not timing the market. It's time in the market, right? So I think about that constantly because I'm like, oh yeah, I've been here a long time, so now I finally know a little bit.
Yeah,
I don't know anything compared to people who've dedicated their entire lives to finance, or I actually listen to a lot of TradFi people because it still operates the same way.
Yeah.
and a lot of them have quite a bit of knowledge, so it's cool to get all those perspectives. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like January, I think it's gonna move along.
Yeah,
there'll probably be some jump up in the Bitcoin U.S. dollar price. Oh, that's another thing, by the way. Like the thinking about it in U.S. dollar value. That's another weird thing about being in crypto.
I know, like we still like base it off of that. Mostly it's the new one, like the new people who are just in it for a fiat profit, but not the actual long-term reality of what Bitcoin actually does, its future potential and everything. Like it's those people who are really focused on the fiat side of it. Because again, like no one ever just considers like if the fiat system goes away, why are you valuing Bitcoin off of the U.S. dollar? It's going to be valued off of something completely different.
I mean, that's the thing I always think about is like, okay, well, when Bitcoin's $1 million, gasoline might be $1,000 a gallon because in order for Bitcoin to go up, that means that the fiat currency is being devalued. That's how it works, right? So how long do we keep thinking in terms of everything in U.S. dollars? It's a mystery to me, because we still live in the system in the fiat system, right? And I don't think that's just going to vanish.
Yeah.
I mean,
right away, no.
Again, it's a huge machine. Even if they wanted to just get rid of it, let's say the globalists or the powers that be, or whatever you want to think of. Let's say they did want to just get rid of it. It wouldn't even be that easy for them to just get rid of it.
Exactly. What's the first step for it to like start game? Like, what do you think we'd see until like that's the row?
I feel like they're gonna have to start mouse clicking debts away. That'd be the first thing. Like, okay, this debt's fake. This is all fake. This is all fake. Mouse click, mouse click, mouse click. You know, like, oh, Sherp, you know what? You don't owe this anymore. That's all gone. That'd be the first way, right? And then they have to have something else for the people to trade in or to do business in.
Yep.
Right.
So that's when the
S curve is what they call it, right? The rate of adoption.
Yeah.
Right. So the S curve is in Bitcoin. It's not even close to that level yet. So I think 2025 is going to be crazy.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
We'll see the start of some changes take place.
Big changes.
Because again, like you said, they need another way to transact. So that's the next step. Once I don't know if they had like that law, which isn't a law anymore because El Salvador changed that to get that loan with the IMF, but it's like they're not forcing businesses to accept Bitcoin now anymore. They still can if they want to, but
they can, right?
But is that what we need to start it off? Just have a law in there to say businesses, if they can, have to accept Bitcoin, and then down the road, oh yeah, no, you don't have to anymore. But hey, you can still do it if you want to because they already have the technology there. It's already implemented. So it's like, why would they just get rid of it?
Agreed, man. And do we even want the IMF? Like, I mean, the International Monetary Laundering Fund is what I call it, right? Do we even want that organization to be part of crypto? Because I feel like that's a real middleman, global middleman.
Yes.
Right. That just helps to create poverty in countries, and what is Saifuddin, the Amu who wrote the book, The Fiat Standard and the Bitcoin Standard, he calls it the industry of misery.
Oh, that was a good name for them.
I think that's perfect, right?
Yes.
So I don't know how all that works, and like Wells Fargo, they have that nice logo because they've been around. At first they were like a messenger company, like basically they have horses, right? And it's like the Wild West. Wells Fargo was getting the message there, and when is that going to be replaced? Even though like maybe their logo really was secretly, subliminally letting us all know that they were robbing trains and like who knows what they were doing back then, right? But when is that going to be just the Bitcoin symbol, right? Wells Fargo Bitcoin Bank.
Yeah. Or it's going to be a blockchain symbol, just a chain of blocks going across.
The Chase swastika will be replaced with a Bitcoin symbol, right?
Oh, I don't know. I feel like Chase will go. They'll be the last one, or the
it's
first
interesting
one to go.
that his name is still there, right? I mean, basically connected to JP Morgan, right? Because it merged. It was JP Morgan Chase, and
now it's
just
Chase.
dropped. It's just called Chase since JP Morgan was instrumental in the creation of the Federal Reserve, right? I mean, it's just so nuts, man, all this stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, it is. But
and what's going to happen to California, we'll see.
Oh, they're just going to keep taxing everything even more. Looks like I think like they're going to get like a cut with the gas price, but Newsom's already ready. Oh, let's get another tax on there to keep that price where it's at.
Newsom, he's just like, I don't even know that dude, Steele, right? His background is weird.
Yeah,
He's
it
like
is.
a rich kid, right? And like related to Nancy Pelosi, right?
Yep.
I mean, you
And
can't.
there was a chance to get rid of him, but again, it was right after 2020 election, so we knew it was going to get stolen again.
Dude, I was watching this guy who was on the beach down there in San Diego, I think it was, and he was like interviewing people randomly, like during that time about Newsom,
Yeah.
you know, and he couldn't believe how many people were like, "Oh, you know, we got to keep him in." You know,
Yeah.
and he was just like, "What? Are you crazy?" Like,
Why?
he was also interviewing people about like, should people go to jail if they refuse to take the vaccine?
Oh my god.
Oh, he had a petition. He was like, "Would you sign this petition to, you know, so that
I
the United
saw
States
that one,
government?"
yeah.
I was like, and people were like, "Oh yeah, I'll sign that." Like, that's how insane people become, right? Like, you know, you're willing to put your fellow man in prison for something that you don't even know anything about. Right?
Yeah.
You know?
It was crazy times. Like, we've come a long way, and just 2025, it's like we're here. We made it through all that, and it's like, okay, this is going to be amazing now.
It is, man. It is. I'm looking forward to it. I really am.
Same here. It's going to be a great year. Traveling, profits, new friendships. It's going to be a great, great year.
Oh yeah, I met so many cool people in the crypto space, man. It's a great space.
It's the best. I love being here. Like, my nice little vacation in Cali was nice. Zoned out. Talked to my dad about some crypto and stuff. Some other people too, family who had some that I helped him out with. But it's just like it was a complete like just shut down.
Shout out to Devin.
Yes, Dad, love you. And then it was just it was nice to get away, but then coming back, then like it was just immediately right when I landed, right off the bat. Oh hey, yeah, talk to you and Heidi, and then
Right.
then you talk to
Go right
another Steve, talk to him for another good hour of crypto, and then talk to Zoltan. It was like you just jumped right back into it. It was like okay, I missed this.
Yep.
It was nice to be away. You zoned out. I definitely needed that refresher, that little break to recover, but I just love being in this space.
Exactly.
Well, I think we're getting some people here in the club, so we should probably wrap this Sherpa special up. Any other final thoughts you want to talk about?
No. I think we had a great time. I had a great time. I appreciate you having me on, actually, Sherp. And I was gonna say maybe we should do this remotely. I can do it from my studio in the Nashville club,
Yeah.
like once a month or something like that, just to stay on top. Catch up, whatever.
Yeah, we could totally do that.
Just do like a Bitcoin Benz Sherpa connection, you know?
Exactly. Connect to all the clubs. But yeah, so thank you, Steve, so much for being here. I love you, brother.
Love you too, man. My pleasure.
And thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe, share this with all your friends, and sign for the Crypto Club. We're here to help you guys out, get involved with crypto. Because again, you don't want to be the one with no Bitcoin out there. We'll help you get it and store it safely.
And you don't want to be the one selling to Dish Network at the checkout line.
Exactly. You don't want to be one of those. So guys, we will see you again next time. Thanks again for coming.
Peace. All right. Great. That was fun, man.